I think God wants us to succeed. I really believe God sets us up to succeed. We just have to align ourselves and figure it out, and that's the journey of life. I figure, all of our life will figure this alignment stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
gives me the power to come to the second part of challenging the status quo, because there's no status quo when I'm visualizing this kind of approach. I know what I stand for. I know who I really am. Also, even though I'm self-discovering every day, but I know the direction that I'm going. I know this path. And as long as I align myself with that path, then I could challenge anything really. There's no such thing as a status quo in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And just curious to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're talking about your purpose, I think that also goes back to what we were talking about earlier about like when you're shifting, your job or your career, do you have to do it in a certain way or can you make a big jump from one thing to the other? And I think that's the same thing
Mm,
with your purpose, right? Your purpose, while in generalities, it could remain mostly the same, but in specifications, it's going to shift and change. And so I think a lot of times for me, I would get very stuck in like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's
right.
my purpose? Am I living my purpose? Am I doing my purpose? Like this
Sure.
anxiety of coming over, right? But I think it's more if I bring that in. So kind of the four words that would describe my purpose that I allow to be very fluid is challenge norms and empower others. And
Mm,
I can do
wow.
that in so many different ways. And actually I can take that purpose, put it into any situation that I'm in. And so it takes away a lot of that anxiety about what's my like huge guiding purpose and pulls it
Wow.
back into how am I doing my purpose right now? Like, is
Love it.
this conversation with you guys challenging norms and empowering others? Yeah, I think so.
Mm,
And so I know that I'm living in my purpose and I don't have to worry if I'm walking in my purpose tomorrow or this or that. Like, I know that I'm doing it right now. And so I think the status quo definitely needs to be challenged because it exists in a bigger
mhm.
sense. But I think as far as for the purpose part of all of that, I personally get way too stuck in a purpose anxiety, if you will.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Love it.
I think
Yeah.
it can
So true.
be it can be a fluid thing. Like my purpose when I was teaching was to be highly impactful on those 12 kids at a time every year. My purpose
Mm,
now is very different, to be impactful in a different way, but it's still to be impactful. So like
mm,
I got too caught in the specifications, and now I like to view it as a broader thing. Instead of like when I left the school, I really lost a lot of my identity. I mean, my identity
wow.
for 16 years, I had a little badge and it would say teacher or it'd say assistant director or school director or whatever. And suddenly I had no badge. People would be like, what do you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. And I was putting
Mhm.
too much of I was kind of squishing together my purpose and my like daily tasks, and I wasn't
Wow.
separating those out. And so I was giving all of the credit of my purpose to what I was
Mm,
doing at work. And anyway, it was just a huge process of kind of pulling those two things apart in my head. And so now my alignment is, am I challenging norms and empowering others? Yes, then let's go forward. No, then maybe that's not for me to do today.
wow.
Wow. See, what you said
Wow.
there was exactly what I said to my counselor, which made him say, "Yeah, you're doing this whole thing wrong. You need to focus on yourself for a little bit," because that's exactly what it is. It's like my purpose has become extremely stressful. Like that's not supposed to be what it. That's not
Mm,
the way it works.
Yeah.
mhm.
If
It's
your
supposed to be
purpose is
enjoyable.
increasing your anxiety medication, you might need to rethink it. I'm speaking from theoretical experience. I'm just throwing it out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Mhm. I totally agree. I totally agree. And I'm listening to you, Chelsea, and I'm reflecting even just on myself. Um, I worked in the prison system for 8 years, with the purpose of bringing meaning and purpose to people at their lowest level.
Mm,
Today, I work with the business owner and I work with the founder, to bring meaning and purpose into their work environment and thus improve their business operations. Even though the purpose shifted a little bit, I think the underlying purpose remains the same, that meaning and purpose, bringing a meaningful, like a fulfilling life in a sense, right? Live life to your fullest. I'm hearing the same thing from you, and I relate to the losing a little bit your identity. Like, here I am, this guidance counselor in the prisons, and like you're this hot shot, and like you walk into the prison, and even the guards want a piece of you, like I get it, and then all of a sudden this gets removed, and it's like, oh my god, am I on this now? Do I have to compete with like Tony Robbins or somebody like that? Like, like all of a sudden there's this element,
Yeah.
and then it just really takes time to just reflect and say, you know what, I'm the same person, whether I'm in the prisons or whether I'm in, wherever. My job is really to help people live a fulfilling life, and that's it. That's my purpose, that's just how I relate to your share. So
yeah, and I think it can be very dangerous. At the very beginning, we talked about, like, what would you say to the kids that are going to be adults later? It can be very dangerous to tie your purpose to a profession. So I hear a lot of young adults now saying, hey, my purpose is to be a teacher. And I'm like, like, what is your purpose? And it's kind of the same list to feeling concept. Like, if you were to take that, your purpose is to empower others. Take away that, like, very that title that's going to hold you back, I feel like, because what does that even look like in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever, right? So I think it's very dangerous, but very common to say, my purpose is to be a teacher. My purpose is to be a this. My purpose is to be a that.
I love it.
And can definitely get you in trouble, speaking from experience.